What you got, 7? Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd ask you to stand for our salute to the flag. I'd also ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence, as we do each month, but especially this month, I would like us to remember in your thoughts and prayers John Stevenson, longtime employee in the Sheriff's Department. We lost him a couple of days ago, so if you would remain standing for that moment of silence. Legislator Kelly, would you lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Chairman Quackenbush.
Present.
Legislator Diamond.
Present.
Legislator White.
Present.
Legislator Beniak.
Present.
Legislator Duchesky.
Present.
Legislator Wheeler.
Here.
Legislator Rowe.
Present.
Legislator Kuchis.
Here.
Okay, before we get going with our privilege to the floor, there are several resolutions to...
Legislator Martin. Kelly.
I am here.
Sorry.
I thought you were done. I'm sorry. There was a hesitation or something. I thought you
Well, I
had.
thought it was done before.
I'll remember that.
Okay. We're all here and accounted for. Welcome everyone to our first monthly meeting of the new Montgomery County Legislature. Before we get started with privilege to the floor, we have 7 resolutions actually that we need to add to our agenda tonight. Several are appointments that were just forwarded to us by the county executive. Specifically, there's also a resolution, Resolution 15, which we need to amend, or would like to amend. So I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules, amend the agenda, and amend Resolution 15 to separate out and create a new Resolution 29, the Deputy Clerk of the Legislature's position. So Resolution 15 will only be a resolution for the legislative aid, and the amendment in that resolution should say the contingent account 42,520, not 45,020. And then a line through the last line which says Deputy Clerk of the Legislature. And then Resolution 29, which is actually the deputy position, will be at 2,500. So that's the motion I would make, and I would... no, Duke was good with not doing that.
Yes, we can vote on them in that order.
Yeah. So what will happen here is we will have Resolution 15 and so on, all the way through to 28, and then we'll be adding Resolutions 29 through 35. Those resolutions specifically that we're adding, just so the public and the media know, again, 29 is a resolution establishing the position in the office of the Clerk of the Legislature and amending the 2014 operating budget. Resolution 30, 31, and 32 are appointments to the Montgomery County Health Trust Board. Resolution 33 and 34 are to the Montgomery County Soil and Water. And Resolution 35 is a resolution that Senator Kachik has asked us to support, and it's in regards to the second primary that we're going to have, and it's a resolution to ask the state to pay for that primary if they don't decide to change their mind and move it, like I guess most others are. So those are it. I would look for a second to that motion. Legislator Wheeler. Discussion? Everyone understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? That carries unanimously, and we will move on. Now we have, and I'm gonna count on you, Cheryl and Doug, to make sure you keep me straight when we get going through those resolutions. Right now is the time that we have privilege of the floor and public comment, but I was going to ask the county executive if he would introduce to us, or maybe he would like to introduce himself, our new communication specialist.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank the legislature for
appointing this position. I think not only is it going to be a benefit to my office, but the county as a whole. One of the things that we heard about during the campaign quite a bit was we need better communication from the government to the people, and that's what I'm trying to do here, as well as use this position to improve our communication within the county. So with that said, I think we attracted some real talent here, and I'm very excited to have Andrew Santillo on board, and he comes to us from the Troy Record, and so he certainly has a good knowledge of how to get the word out and do it in an effective way. So we're excited to have him on board, and you just want to introduce yourself quickly.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Andrew Santillo, new communication specialist, and I just want to, actually my first day was yesterday, so I've gone right into the fire. We hit the ground running, kind of, and I want to make all your jobs easier and try to, make the citizens of Montgomery County, let them know what kind of hard work maybe that they didn't realize, was happening in the county, and the work that you all do, and relay that, and also, get the media to turn, the spotlight on some of the positives in this area. And I appreciate Matt bringing me on board, and I think it's an excellent opportunity. I look forward to working with all of them.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to public comment. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to address the legislature? Sheriff.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to follow the county exec here. I brought my new undersheriff with me. I wanted him to come down and meet those that don't know you and introduce himself. And he started on the 17th this month and moved into the office, and hopefully we'll be there a while.
I am Pete Broman, 28 years in the U.S. Marshal Service, and I was honored and pleased and excited to be appointed to the undersheriff of Montgomery County. Looking forward to serving the sheriff, the department, and the people of Montgomery County. Looking forward. I really appreciate it. 18 years in Canada area, if you don't know me. 6 kids. 20 years with U.S. Marshal Service. Before that, I was a deputy sheriff in Saratoga County. Public service happening. Bringing whatever resources that I'm aware of federally to the county and help out.
Pete, welcome aboard. Okay, anyone else from the public who'd like to address the legislature? Hearing none, we'll close our public comment. Legislature, we have no minutes to approve. We actually have a lot of minutes to approve, but they're not prepared yet with the mix in the office and changing. We're just not quite there. But we will have those for us next month. Next item on our agenda is approval of the budgetary transfers. I would look for a motion and a second. Legislator Wheeler. Legislator Kuchis. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? That carries. Moving on, we have Resolution 15. It's a resolution establishing the position in the office of the Clerk of the Legislature and amending the 2014 operating budget. It's sponsored by legislators Whites and Wheeler. We've already discussed the amendment. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, doesn't the resolution have to be moved before we discuss it? Moved. That's it? Okay.
But we have a sponsor and a second.
I'm prepared to discuss it. I'm opposed to this resolution for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is the manner that this additional position was created. When we met in committee, it was kind of an open-ended move to the full board based on the creation of a deputy clerk's position, with the deputy clerk having some additional responsibilities for legislative research. The thrust of our conversation had to do with the need for someone to fill in for when the clerk was absent, and then maximizing the position of assistant deputy clerk. Instead, what we got was a deputy clerk's position at $2,500 a year and a legislative research analyst position at $42,520 per year. Now, it seems to me, just given the big difference in those two amounts, that the emphasis is more on the legislative research specialists. Ostensibly, the need for legislative research has to do with creating our administrative code. As you know, we have a short form charter that does not include an administrative code. Some counties have long form, others have short. The long form tells how certain administrative rules are to be carried out. The purpose of the charter is to assign responsibilities and who does what. The purpose of legislative code is to kind of tell you how to do it. And so I took a look at some of the counties that have additional legislative codes. There are a number of them out there, including the one that our charter was pretty much patterned after. And I don't think that establishing a code is beyond our ability here as legislators. I think that we can do this work ourselves. I think that we are unnecessarily creating a full-time position at $42,000, whose need will go away once the code is actually established. I can't see us taking longer than a year to get this done. We have only 15 provisions of our charter and its subdivisions. Certainly, we have the means and the ability to talk to department heads and look for ourselves and see where areas need to be clarified with respect to the administration of duties via an administrative code. So we have all of those things available to us, and there's absolutely no reason that we should be creating this additional expenditure. In addition, I do question, as I mentioned earlier, the manner in which this was created. Essentially, especially because when we left, there was no talk of creating a separate position. And when the position was created, and I see here it's dated, the actual title for the position is dated this date, today, or yesterday. And yet, the clerk already knew who the appointment was going to be. So that does cause me to ask if we created a position for someone in particular, or we were truly trying to achieve the end goal of legislative research analysis. I certainly suspect the former. I have written a memorandum in opposition to this, to the creation of this position, emailed it to all of you legislators, and distributed hard copies tonight. And I request that this memorandum be added to the minutes of the meeting.
Anyone, any further discussion?
I just wanted to express my opinion that, as Mr. Duchesne just said, it was my impression during the meeting that we were talking about hiring a part-time person, and that should the need arise to either make it a full-time position or even hire a full-time person, we would make that decision at that time.
All set?
I would just like to speak a little about my intent in introducing the position or the idea in committee. This was what I had in mind as a primarily legislative research specialist. However, I did make the comment in committee that it would be great if we could have that person double as a deputy clerk. Upon speaking with personnel, which was a couple legislators had recommended, this was what we came up with, these positions, these salaries. And you know, the fact of the matter is, I think we have a lot to do as a legislature, and we can't have one person in the office. We need that second full-time position to take care of our duties, especially first and foremost this year, our first duty of drafting an administrative code and amending the Montgomery County Charter.
Further discussion?
A quick question for Ryan. So is this being proposed as a position just for 1 year? the remainder of this year?
No.
If I may, I would agree with Legislator Duchesne if the sole intent is to have this person only create the administrative code and/or massage the charter, if you will. I would agree, but that wasn't my intent. And if that is the intent of the rest of the legislature, that it's just somebody to do it for a year, then I would say I would be against it myself. That's not my intent. My intent is I want somebody who's going to research, who's going to analyze, who's going to calendar events for us, such as Legislator Isabel had said. My understanding coming from the meeting, it would be full-time, but we were looking at it being one person. Once we approached the personnel director, we found out that to do what we wanted to do, which was mirror what was happening with the county exec position minus the title, that wasn't going to be able to be accomplished. We took our recommendations. The recommendations came when we met the next morning with the personnel director. But, you know, in regards to the date of this resolution, they're all dated for the date of our meeting.
I think if I can, what is it, Chelsea? Are you referring to the?
Oh, Rich's.
That's Rich gave this to us.
The job spec.
Today.
Yeah, Rich just created it.
He was the one that created that yesterday. That's what it is.
He had been working on that and coming up with a. Go ahead. I just wanted to give clarification.
Well, I have to say that I spoke with the person who created this job description last Saturday, and he told me as of that date the job description had not been created, and yet the person who's going to receive this appointment has already been named by the clerk. That would be prior to knowing what the minimum qualifications are. It doesn't appear to me that the choice was made with these details of what the distinguishing features of the class were, or what the typical work activities or the minimum qualifications. Certainly not the minimum qualification. It doesn't appear that the appointment was made with that in mind.
We met today. There were 8 of us: the county executive, personnel director, Ken Rose, and Rich explained to us again today. It's still not done. It's a work in progress, and it could be for 2 years, because he needs to send it to the state along with a whole slew of others in October. And he said because it's an unclassified position, and please correct me if I'm wrong, those were to me, because it's an unclassified position, those qualifications at the bottom go out the window. It's very confusing. It's very confusing the way that he explained it to me today.
I don't feel so confused at all, Mr. Chairman. I think I'm quite clear on what has happened here and how it happened. And again, via email communications from members of the board, I see this decision was made really counter to what was discussed in committee, and that's already evidenced by those email transmissions. If that is true, that this legislative research specialist job description is a work in progress and is not yet complete, then I would like to move to table this resolution so that we could further discuss it and talk exactly about what we're looking for and how long we're looking for the position.
So motion to table, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second on tabling. Is it 6 or 5? How many votes are needed to table? 6? Just a simple majority or a super? Okay. So we need 5 to table. So when there's a motion to table, that ceases debate, and we act on the motion to table. So I would ask for a roll call on the motion to table.
Legislator Duchesne.
Aye.
Legislator Wheeler.
No.
Legislator Isabel.
Right.
Legislator Kuchis.
Yes.
Legislator Martin. Legislator Quackenbush.
No.
Legislator Diamond.
No.
Legislator White.
No.
Legislator Deniak.
No.
Okay, the motion to table has failed, so we're back to the resolution. Is there any further discussion on the resolution?
Treated facially, this resolution in this position is what I had intended in introducing it in committee. There were not discussions beforehand, but the following morning, upon speaking in committee, talking with Rich, while it was not in a form, these are the duties and the qualifications that were discussed verbally as a general outline. Obviously, that will evolve. Again, though, treated facially, I believe this is a position we need in our office. We need a secondary person. We've taken care of the executive's office, which I think we needed to do. We've got a great person in as communications specialist that's going to help move this county forward. We now need to take a step back and take care of our own office. We need an office with more than one person in it. And I think it's unfortunate to treat this resolution as a personal matter when the content, I believe, is solid content, good law for this county.
I had Legislator Wheeler, then Kuchis, then Isabel.
I just wanted to add, there were some things that were mentioned that I just want to briefly comment on. While we are a new form of government, there's a past in Montgomery County. And we have employees that comes with that past. And some of them bring an asset. So if this position is a person, they have assets that bring with it. So if that's something that comes and brings a bonus to the legislative office, I welcome that. And I am very glad that we have an executive that now we turn over, so we will not be going out for RFP and is in our hands, because there were emails that go back and forth, and it adds a dynamic in the politics that I firmly am against. And I am very supportive with working with this body firmly. So we are our separate body. He is his separate body. And we communicate, we support him, and that's how we run as a new form of government. Thank you.
I was under the impression that in committee, when we discussed the position, we also discussed the fact, and I agree with you, that it really was going to be Cheryl's prerogative who she appoints. So that's not an issue for me. My issue was I thought it was going to go back to committee to be further home before the resolution.
I had Barbara, and then I had Ryan. I had brought that question up and asked, I believe it was me that said, do we need to maybe put this into another committee? But supervisors that night said, no, it should just go, I think Duke said we know what it's going to be, just move it forward. Or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you said.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. I did want to go with it, but I wanted to go with it as I understood it. I mean, it's interesting because most certainly this meeting, committee meeting, can be viewed on YouTube. You can take a look. At no time did we talk about creating two positions. We only talked about creating one position. And the word position and salary was used, but not the words positions and salaries. And it was always, I think it's about 32 minutes into the meeting that the chairman indicates what he's going to move forward on. The problem here is that at the committee, and I made, based on good faith, which I will never yield again, that's done. Based on good faith, I thought that we could go along with leaving that open-ended so that the committee could put the details together with the person who creates the civil service descriptions. Very clearly here, the intent was, I believe, was to create one and not two positions. And I will never give an open-ended okay to proceed that way. In the future, following committee meetings, I'm going to need to know exactly what the chairman of the committee is going to do and why he's going to do it. It's going to have to be explained in a little better terms than that. And I would caution my colleagues that certainly this is not a semantical argument. One position versus two is not semantics. It's two different things.
Legislator is.
My question is, this is a new position. Right now, things are busy over there. What happens if in 12 months we find that the person is not needed as much and we just pay here going forward?
Good. Yes, I can. Good question. It was a great topic at our meeting that we had today. The budget officer, the county executive, is going to create a budget every year. This is no different than any other position. He may determine that a position's needed or not needed. He's going to put the budget together. We're going to have the opportunity as Finance Committee and Legislature to act on his preliminary budget. And we will either agree with certain things or not agree. So let's say that I'm going to use hypothetically that the executive has it in the budget, but this legislature feels it doesn't want it in the budget. Well, then they take it out of the budget, and then he has the opportunity to veto that, and then we have an opportunity to, with a 2/3 majority, override that. I wouldn't treat this any differently than any other budget line item.
So technically speaking, the person that is taking the position understands that maybe at the end of this, there may not be another year.
Just for clarification, not technically speaking, because that person that Cheryl had said and indicated to us as you wanted, we had a meeting with today, and it was very well explained that, and the personnel director was there, county exec was there, Mr. Rose was there, I was there, I think Barbara ended up, Mary? We went over from Mark, so it was very well explained.
I was talking with Cheryl today, just briefly, she indicated.
Well, Cheryl was there too.
That it really is needed at this point. Now, if that does go away, then just the person completely understands it may not need it. Or maybe part-time or something.
Yeah, as I said, whether, not only does that person that I think may end up taking the position, if accepted, hasn't been created yet, not only does that person understand it, very well understands it, but this is going to be a decision just like any other budgeted position, whether it's cars for the sheriff or anything else. There's a process that the charter calls for, and we're going to go through that process, I hope with every line.
Just one more thing. Not only is it the administrative code, which I think we do have to be very proactive with, but there are multiple things with the Board of Supervisors that is behind this position will be a huge asset with, as well as we can utilize this position not only with certain, monthly calendars or research projects. Legislator Duchesne mentioned road studies that he'd like to be more investigating with, or shared service committees. So we can utilize this. If we don't, that's up to us. But I will say right now, if we don't and this position is not utilized, I have no problem, because I believe we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money, and that's our responsibility. So if we have to eliminate the position because we're not utilizing it, that's what we have to do. And that's our job and Matt's job. So that's what we'll do. And we were very honest about that this morning. So.
Alex, before I call on you, Ken, you brought up a point today during our meeting, in particular with the person that Cheryl wants to appoint. Can you go over for the legislature the transportation and what that person understands that they're going to be taking on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, we obviously administer the transportation program for the county, which entails the 311 along with the MAC, which is down South by Brown. There's a lot of work that goes into that. The this particular individual that's being discussed, used to be local coordinator for the county for 2 years.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, excuse me. Mr. Chairman, please, we're not discussing the person who's being appointed or when they get this appointment.
So we're discussing the position.
That's not under our purview.
No, but I was trying to make a point.
I hear, my goodness, I'm sorry, but I can hear you. You started to describe the person who's getting this position and the person's abilities. We're not here to talk about that.
No, we're here to talk about what this person would do, what this position would encompass, and transportation's one of them, so leave the name out.
Transportation is part of this?
Sure. If we want it to be, because the first line says, the first line of the job description says the incumbent, the last line in the first paragraph says the incumbent does related work as required, which is everything, if we want it to be.
I'm sure this person is capable of doing related work as required. That's really not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how this position was created, and I just think it's wrong. It flies in the face of good government. It was not done in open session, and I think there's really something wrong when we operate in that manner, when we accept from the legislators a good faith to execute a resolution based on the intent of the committee. And again, and this is my last word on it. The intent of the committee can clearly be seen on YouTube. It's not like we're trying to go by memory. There was never a time when two positions were mentioned, ever. Pure and simple. And so the next day, it turns out that two positions are created for some other purposes, and we already know who the person is that's going to get the job. Now that was kind of quick for me.
I don't believe the next day is when Cheryl sent her email. It may have been a couple of days later. But Alex had his...
Yeah, I have a question for, I guess, either one of the two former supervisors. I believe, if I recall correctly, that the previous board of supervisors kind of, when they prepared the budget, included staffing of Matt's office, the executive's office. Was it an oversight that they didn't include in the budget an item for staffing the legislature?
No, we actually had that, I had that discussion with folks because we knew it was going to be the legislature's decision because it clearly is in the charter. They were going to leave, as they did everything else, up to the new legislature. Just like the male specialist position that they had talked about, we were going to leave that up to the executive. So it was clear that the supervisors did not want to act on many issues, including the administrative code.
I was just going to add to that the charter amendments and administrative code are things that they left for us, and these are all things that we need to do, and it's I think going forward we need.
I saw Roy and I saw Mark.
Chair, I would just like to say, for the record, I'm very torn on this. That the legislation itself just really smells bad to me. I am supporting, I didn't support, or I supported it not being tabled, and I'm supporting this, but as Legislator Duchesne said, and I won't reiterate what he said, but I agree with him 100% that it was supposed to be one position. And if you go back and look at the YouTube video, the clerk indicated that she knew nothing about it. Chairman Weeks brought it up, and the next day we have names and we have two positions, and it was originally a position. The main thing that I don't like about it, and it doesn't make any sense from an organizational standpoint or from jobs, that the legislative research specialist will report to the clerk. If she's a legislative research specialist, she should report to the legislature. And I would make an amendment that the legislative research specialist in the previous position reports to the Board of Legislators.
You'd be going against the charter if you did that.
How's that? You're creating a position.
All positions under the legislature in the clerk's office fall under the,
This is not a clerk's office, this is the legislative research specialist for the legislature. It has nothing to do with the clerk. That's my opinion.
I'll let you answer it, Doug, but it's pretty clear that it says that
Pretty clear that the deputy clerk reports to the clerk.
it says deputy clerk and all other positions.
Excuse me.
I may be wrong.
Let's find out, because of positions that we create, and if we don't create a position to go under the clerk, we can just create a position that could report to the board. I don't see why that amendment is out of order. Maybe we can hear from Doug.
Yeah, 206 provides that the clerk shall appoint such additional personnel as are required for the efficient operation of the office of the clerk. If the determination of the legislature is that this position, if it's to exist at all, is not to operate as part of the office of the clerk of the legislature, then to the extent that you like it, the amendment is
It would be under the executive branch, because there's no place else to put that. It would be under the executive branch, and then it would be under Matt's. There's only one place that we can create positions, there and auditing, that reports to us, at least for what the charter says.
Well, I'm limiting my comment to the idea that the person would not have to operate under the clerk. It could, but it doesn't have to. That's up to the legislature as you're creating.
Where was that
Is
person?
it changing the charter?
That's what I want to know.
Amending the charter?
No, not at all. No. You can create any position that you want to as a legislature. From the standpoint of Section 206, which is what this resolution focuses on, if the position, that would apply, let me put it this way, Section 206 would apply to the extent that you want this person to operate under the clerk, which is fine. But I don't think there's anything that absolutely requires that to be the case.
My question is there a provision in there that allows for a position to operate under the legislature? I know there is positions under the executive and under the clerk's office, but where is a provision that would allow it to, or allow us to fund and create positions under the legislature? I just don't see it in there.
Well, it's certainly not in 206. Let's take a look more broadly.
Because the other thing to mention in these emails that legislators...
Hang on just a second, because if we're going to allow any more discussion, Martin had his hand up. Okay, we'll let Roy, once Doug's...
Finish my comment while I was looking through.
Go ahead.
Just to finish up, as I mentioned, I don't like this, and I agree with Legislator Chesney. The thing is that there's some ancillary value to this resolution, and the ancillary value promotes two of the goals that I have for the county, and that's the only reason I'm supporting it. Thank you, Chair.
The email that's in question that Cheryl created, namely that you don't dismiss the career the air after that tonight. It is on YouTube, and I agree with Legislator Duchessis here. One, it was brought up in committee, it was one position. I'm torn, and it's a very difficult choice that we'll have to make. I'm torn, as I stated on January 1st, I am against taking money out of the fund balance or contingency accounts to create new jobs. However, the flip side, I do think that we need somebody to do research for us. The committee meeting last week we talked about, 2 weeks ago we talked about the snow plowing and mowing contracts with the towns. Now, something I would like to see is how, that is point of contention, and hopefully Cheryl can separate the two, which I think she can. We are here to represent the county, and I think we need to look at every avenue that we can to save money. And that is one avenue where we can save money. And I think by reviewing the road study, looking at what other counties have done, we need to find a cheaper way. And I think the legislative aid will be able to do that research for us. If we're creating positions solely on the intent of creating an administrative code, which we clearly aware that is not the intent, however, if it were, it would be foolish for us to spend this kind of money. Third point, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but doesn't the clerk serve at the leisure of the legislative body? No, in the red line charter, it is very unclear.
So 206, the clerk serves until his or her successor is appointed.
Which could be interpreted. Therefore, if this is to fall as a deputy clerk under the clerk, the same rules would apply. So therefore, they are, if the executive chooses not to fund it in his budget when he presents it to the finance committee, we could choose to put it in, or we could choose to take it out. That person would serve at the will of this body. But my main reason why I'm torn with this is the money. I don't feel it is in the best interest of the county to spend so much money so quickly.
The first thing I want to say, we have to pick and choose our battles. We're just starting our first full board meeting, and we interrupted Ken when we wanted him to speak. So can we let him finish what he was going to say?
I mean, if you want to keep debating this,
I
think everybody's,
the first thing I said was we got to pick and choose our battles. So
well,
I think that's pretty important.
I think
we all pretty much know what we want.
I don't want to end the debate by calling the
battles.
question, but I think we've all talked for quite some time. Go ahead.
I just want to add one point. I'm having trouble envisioning, while there is a lot of work to be done, I have trouble envisioning 2,000 hours of work for a full-time position.
I'm not if used correctly.
3 years of full supervisors. 3 years. So there's so much stuff that has to be done.
All right. Is there any?
Chair, there's an amendment on the floor.
I didn't hear a second, but
I'll second the amendment.
So you have an amendment to
Make the legislative research specialist report to the legislature.
we have a second discussion on the amendment. Now, we're only talking about that person reporting to the legislature. That's what the amendment is. It's not about the original resolution. I mean, I will not support that only because I don't have a clear answer of what the charter, I have a clear answer of what it says, but I don't know that Doug even knows.
What's the intent by adding that amendment?
Well, I feel it has nothing to do with the clerk's position. Just at an organizational level, if the legislature is creating a legislative research specialist, they should report to the legislature. There's nothing in the charter that says we can't create a position. And that's my view, and that's why I made the amendment.
Only that all positions that are created or whatever would be appointed by the, would it be an appointment of the county executive? I mean, there's questions on this.
There is a question about it. The Article 2, which is the article that relates to the legislature, is not crystal clear on this. Certainly, and from my understanding of what Legislator Diamond has said, he was suggesting that the position not be one that would serve under the clerk, and as such, you could create a position that does not report to the clerk. As to, would you be opening the doors to the appointment being made outside of the legislature by the executive, as is provided for in the other positions in the, as pursuant to the charter, you might very well be doing that. We're all new to this, and I would perhaps like, if that's the lingering question, an opportunity to study this and revisit it. If in fact you're going to...
The executive, chairman, my understanding is he would appoint people to the government part, not the legislative part, the executive part, the executive branch of government. And any legislator, if you go like to the Assembly or the Senate or other, like Putnam County, they have legislative positions that don't report to the clerk. That's my point.
That I agree sounds very logical. There isn't a provision in the article relating to the legislature that talks about the legislature appointing, creating and filling additional positions that serve the legislature. It's silent as to that.
Doug, who does the clerk report to?
The clerk of the legislature.
She's appointed by us.
Who does the clerk report to? That's my question. So if someone were reporting to the clerk, in essence, aren't they reporting to the legislature?
No. Well, I don't think that's a legal question, really.
Well, if someone in that office, if the clerk of that office reports to us, and the deputy clerk, wouldn't in essence they all be reporting to us? Who else would they report to?
There isn't anyone else. However, the way that this resolution is set up, it would indicate that that person would report to the clerk, and there was a suggestion that it not be followed through that way.
Mr. Chairman, you see, this goes to my point. Had we known what the position was going to be, had we known that this position was going to be created, we could have discussed all of these things in committee, where it's more appropriate to discover these notions. Instead, we're stumbling around because this was created in a way that was, I believe, nefarious. I just cannot put it any other way. I can't be any more succinct than that. If this was done in the open, if this was done in committee, we could get all of these questions answered.
I gotta say, I agree with him for completely different reasons. I think that this, I don't agree with the amendment. Absolutely not. I think it would set a horrible precedent. I think that as a former supervisor, there was just too much posturing in the past, and I'm not going to join in on that here. So, can I call the question? How about that?
Rather than to cease the debate right now, I guess you can, but is there, we're talking about the amendment. Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Can we vote on the amendment? Okay. Roll call on the amendment.
Legislator Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator White.
No.
Legislator Beniak.
No.
Legislator DeChassi.
No.
Legislator Wheeler.
No.
Legislator Isabel.
No.
Legislator Kuchis. Legislator Kelly. Change the job description to report Aye. Legislator Quackenbush.
No.
Fail.
All right, we're back to the original resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Legislator White.
Yes.
Legislator Beniak.
Yes.
Legislator DeChassi.
No.
Legislator Wheeler.
Yes.
Legislator Isabel.
Yes.
Legislator Kuchis.
No.
Legislator Kelly. Legislator Quackenbush.
Yes.
Legislator Diamond.
Yes.
Resolution passed.
Moving on to Resolution 16. It's a resolution appointing member of Montgomery County Sanitary Sewer District Number 1 Board of Directors. Sponsors for this were legislators Wheeler and Isabel. Is there amendment needed? No. No, it was done in committee.
I wanted to make an amendment. That the, this one, where it reads, mayor, from the third line down, mayors of the village of Fort Wayne, Elliston, Valentine Bridge, and one at-large member to be appointed by the county legislative board. I wanted to change that to the county executive.
Can you change it? Hang on just a second, please.
This is a whereas clause which recites what has already taken place. There's no reason that the legislature could not make such a change, but I would recommend doing it in the form of a resolution, which would effectively amend the resolution that's referenced here that the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors did 2 or 3 months ago to change the appointment process, and therefore you would not be making an appointment right at the present time.
I would change it to confirmed by the county legislative board.
No, the appointment has not been made. The Resolution 281 of 2013 sets forth that the appointment is to be made by the legislature. It was done under the old system. The appointments were 3 supervisors of the 3 towns affected, as well as the 3 mayors and 1 at-large member. It was pointed out during the course of 2013 that that obviously was not going to work any longer, and for no reason other than that the supervisors would not any longer be affiliated with the county. So the corresponding legislators who represent the areas affected by the sanitary district were inserted into that. There is no reason that the legislature could not change that process to have the appointment done in a different way than is set forth in Resolution 281. But of course, as we sit here, that has not occurred.
Could we just as a suggestion, to what did you want to change it to?
Well, either that the appointment is made by the county executive or to be confirmed by the county legislative board, one or the other.
What we could do is rescind Resolution 281 of 2013. We could rescind Resolution 281 of 2013 and change in there, or rescind it or amend it.
Yes.
Amend it. What would you do?
Yes.
Rescind it or amend it to say what you want in that resolution. I mean, if...
and then, of course, you would not make an appointment tonight.
Well, or you make the appointment this year, and then moving forward, it would be that way. Unless you want to wait, would be a board member short. But
I'll withdraw it.
okay. Back to the resolution. Any further discussion? Full board?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 17 is a resolution amending the 2014 budget, 2013-2014 Snowmobile Trails Grant in Aid Program and Mohawk Valley Snowmobile Clubs Incorporated. Sponsors were legislators Beniak and Whites. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimously. Resolution 18 is a resolution amending the 2014 budget solid waste report, future operations, economic development, planning. The legislators that sponsored were legislators Beniak and Whites. Excuse me. No amendments needed. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimously. Resolution 19 is a resolution confirming appointments of members made by the county executive to the Montgomery County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Sponsors were legislators Wheeler and Chessie. Is there no amendments needed? We good on this? Everything's filled in?
No, there's still some vacancies, but we're working on it.
Okay.
For example, the extra that we're...
Nothing tonight, though, that we can amend? Okay. So, as presented, is there any discussion? Legislator Kelly.
Can I ask why Matt is filling 2 positions on that? Chief Administrative Officer and County Executive.
There's no need for that chief administrative officer.
No.
That's,
I think Brenda can answer that question for us.
no, that,
The way it looks for the executive law.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's obviously talented and capable.
Any further discussion on Resolution 19?
I just have one, when the chairperson of the Public Safety Committee, wouldn't that be legislator Isabel?
I believe that one is just a double line.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's just, should have been a slash mark there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it reads member of the Montgomery County Legislature, chairperson of the Public Safety Committee. Got you.
I had to see.
Okay, got it.
I read it that way too, that's why I tried.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain? That carries unanimously. Resolution 20 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, carryover grant funds, 2013 New York State Homeland Security. Legislators Wheeler, Quackenbush are the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimously. Resolution 21, resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, jail, CPOD alterations, Sheriff's Department, Supervisors Wheeler and Kuchis were the sponsors. Supervisors, here we go. Legislators, legislators, Wheeler and Kuchis were the sponsors. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries unanimously. Is that the first time I've done that tonight, or?
No, you did a couple.
Did a couple times?
Not to my way of thinking.
Resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, court security, sheriffs, legislators Wheeler and DeChessie were the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimously. Resolution 23, amending the 2014 operating budget, other compensation, Sheriff's Department, legislators Wheeler and Kuchis were the sponsors. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimous. Resolution 24, resolution approving abstract of audited claims, legislators Wheeler and Beniak. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries unanimously. Resolution 25, resolution appointing member to audit committee, sponsored by supervisors, legislators Wheeler and, I'm just going to say your last names for now, Wheeler and Whites. Discussion. Legislator Wheeler, your name has been amended to go in there at committee. You are my backup.
Okay.
Because you're the deputy, and if for some reason I weren't, I'm just wondering if we might be better off having someone else, because then that would leave us 2.
Yep.
So if you skip out for the year and don't do this because you're deputy,
Right.
you're my backup. My suggestion is maybe we have that you not do it for the year because you're automatic. I mean, you can come anytime.
Okay.
Just a thought.
No.
Because
Yeah, I'm fine.
I know in March I'm going to be gone for that 1 week.
Okay.
For 4 days, I mean. So that means you and Martin have to be there,
Okay.
you know, unless you have a...
Do you want to see somebody else? wants to do it?
Is there anybody else that would like to? Roy graciously volunteered the month of January, and we made out, we had a few extra supervisors that showed, but is there anyone else that would like to, we could...
I can take February.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Somebody else wants.
you make
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend to
Yeah.
insert the name of legislator Beniak. Alex, second. Okay, on the amendment, is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Against, abstain? Now, on the resolution as amended, is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. Resolution number 26 is a resolution delegating erroneous assessment correction approval authority to auditing committee. Legislators Wheeler and Beniak were the sponsors. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries unanimously. Resolution 27 is a resolution recognizing continuation of terms of office of various appointed positions in Montgomery County. Legislators Quackenbush, Whites, sponsored. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. What does this seek to do? What exactly does this do?
The intent, and I am the sponsor of the resolution, the intent was because we all realized that there was some question of, Doug, I think you agreed, that there was some question on certain appointees and the state law and the statutes as they are. We're just recognizing that those appointments that have been made that haven't come to us and won't come to us this first time around, we're recognizing those appointments and understanding that those people are holding those offices. And that was your recommendation. That's how we worked on the resolution.
Well, I was asked to write the resolution, and I did. I agree with what you're saying. Chairman, you had requested that a resolution doing exactly what you just articulated be prepared, and that's what we have here. As I said to you at the time, I don't know that the presence or absence of this resolution necessarily changes anything as far as the employment status of the individuals involved, but your objective, as I understood it, was to make it clear that the legislature understood that, and this goes back to the chart that I had prepared for the legislators back in December with respect to with the new change of government, how some of the existing appointments carry over to various points of time after January 1st, 2014. And so in an attempt to clarify that the legislature understands that and recognizes it, this resolution was prepared.
So this seeks to put some information.
Clarity.
As I said, Legislator Duchesne, in my opinion, the absence of this resolution would not put these appointments in jeopardy. Again, I believe the intent of the sponsor and others was to set forth in writing that the legislature understood the fact that there are appointments that were made to various positions that are not being made early in 2014 because the people who hold the positions carry over for a variety of reasons as are set forth in general terms in the resolution.
Well, the irony of that is if you understand that, then you don't need this.
Depends what positions you're talking about, I guess.
Well, so there's something more to this than meets the eye?
That we discussed.
What are you referring to in particular?
I don't believe there is anything more to it than meets the eye. It's, again, simply a recognition that, by the legislature, that there are certain positions that were not and are not being appointed at the present time because individuals hold them and continue to hold those positions until such time as their terms of appointments expire or for other reasons.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that. There's no need to repeat that. I guess, my problem is that my trust in my fellow legislators, some of them at least, went away a little while ago. And so something like this might appear innocuous, but I'm just trying to understand if there's more to it than meets the eye. Supervisor Legislator Clackabush, you indicated that there was some discussion about some positions, or at least you mentioned some positions, not all positions were clear.
Yeah, I think there were positions that have been discussed that whether they were whose appointment they were, or whether it was covered by statute, or whether or not the people would stay in office for certain reasons.
Are we having some problems though with this? What problem does it seek to resolve? I don't see where there's a problem, and I don't see why this is necessary. I'm just trying to understand it better.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm happy to chime in on this. In the beginning of the year, there was some behind-the-scenes angling regarding some positions, whether people didn't like or did not like people, and whether they wanted to stay or go. I think the legislature and the executive came to a pretty good understanding on how we're going to move forward. Again, I agree with Doug, the presence or lack of presence of this resolution isn't going to really change a lot. I think what Chairman Clackabush wanted to do with this was just have in writing essentially what our understanding was. I don't see any particular issue with any one person, or this is just in my eyes an acknowledgement of our understanding, which is we're going to respect the fact that some of these employees that have appointed terms deserve due process before they're terminated, and before we move forward and respect some of the civil service statutes in place. That because if we did, it could have ended up ugly, and it could have ended up in court because it is a very gray area. And this is just, I think, the intent of the chairman was just to acknowledge the understanding between the executive and the legislature of why I didn't make certain appointments. My opinion is there isn't anything more to it than that.
Barbara?
Thank you. I've spoken to you, so I understand why you didn't, and I fully support that. Do you support this resolution? Is I think what I want to directly ask, because I know the dynamics of it, and I understand why certain positions weren't appointed, because if it was a 5-year position and they're 2 years into it, then the 3 years, so on and so forth.
For me, the biggest section of this resolution is that it has been determined for a variety of reasons, including but not limited to fixed terms of office, due process, consideration, civil service provision. That's the nut and bolts. For me, I would approve it if you guys approve it. But again, I think this is more of just for the record type of thing. This is the agreement that, in the first infancy of this new government, this is the agreement that the legislature can.
Okay, you're talking about the fourth, whereas you have a problem with that, or?
No, I said I think that's for me to pay.
That's for me to pay, okay. All right, thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think I'm disagreeing with the executive, but it seemed to me that didn't you hand us out an opinion from the state about those positions? So we've requested an opinion from the state. We've got an opinion from the state. I don't understand the redundancy. We had this covered. It just seems to me that according to state law, civil service law, the positions in question proceed on until to the executive, till they expire, then the executive appoints who he wants for those positions and we confirm it. So we already have an opinion from the state, so I would not support something like that. I would, just to add to that, I would offer to submit that opinion for the record.
All right. Further discussion?
I'm just going to say I support all of the terms in the executive. I don't know what we're doing this on the record, but I do. And I support all of the legislators. So, can we roll call?
Okay, do we have any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Legislator Quackenbush.
Yes.
Legislator Diamond.
No.
Legislator White.
Yes.
Legislator Deniak.
Yes.
Legislator Duchessis.
No.
Legislator Wheeler.
Yes.
Legislator Isbell.
Yes.
Legislator Kuchis.
Yes.
Legislator Kelly. Pass.
All right. Resolution 28, resolution confirming appointments made by the county executive to the Montgomery County Youth Board. I had sponsored that resolution, and it needs a second. I saw it too.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay, we'll give Roy gets the jump ball this time.
Right?
Yes. We need no amendments? No. Discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain? That carries unanimously. Moving on to the add-on resolutions. Our first add-on resolution is Resolution 29. Resolution establishing a position in the office of the clerk of the legislature and amending the 2014 operating budget. Need to sponsor in a second. Excuse me. Legislator Isabel, Legislator Wheeler. Discussion, just for the public, this resolution is 29, that is for the deputy clerk, and it's at a rate of $2,500. Discussion? Legislator Kelly.
This probably will be the first year I missed the State of the Union in many years. But, in the job description of the legislative aide, doesn't it say, whatever else clause? That we so test that first.
It does, it's an illustrated description as well, so.
So we've already spent $42,000. Why do we need to continue spending? Can't that just fall under that?
Deputies, as Rich explained it, exempt position. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Legislator Isabel.
Aye.
Legislator Kuchis.
Yes.
Legislator Kelly.
No.
Legislator Quackenbush.
Aye.
Legislator Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator White.
Yes.
Legislator Deniak.
Yes.
Legislator Duchessis.
Aye.
Legislator Wheeler.
Yes.
Pass.
Okay, resolution number 30. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, 2930. Resolution number 30, resolution confirming the appointment made by the county executive to the Health Trust Board. County executive, sponsor in a second. Legislators Wheeler and Isabel. Is there any discussion?
If I may, and I'm seeing these for the first time tonight, it can be treated as a typographical error if it's acceptable, but I think that the resolve clause should reflect that it resolved that the legislature hereby confirms the appointment of the county executive, much the same as the language that was in the ones that were done on January 1st, rather than having it look like the legislature is actually making the appointment.
Can we agree to do that?
The heading of it is correct.
You can agree to do that for the next three? Okay. Do we have a sponsor? Okay. Roll call?
Chairman, what are we voting on again?
You're voting on legislator Quackenbush to be appointed to the Montgomery County Health Trust Board for the term of January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2014.
Thank you.
Full board?
Full board.
Everybody good with full board? Next resolution, resolution number 31. Ditto the resolution, and is to appoint the County Treasurer Sean Bowerman. Needs a sponsor in a second. Ryan and Roy. Again, full board. Ditto on the next resolution, resolution 32. Full board sponsorship. Just move it. Good. All right. Resolution confirming appointment made by the county executive to the Montgomery County Soil and Water Conservation Board. Director of County Board of Directors. We need the same language in these next two resolutions, that it's confirmed by the legislature. Full board sponsorship. Okay. Next and that was for, just for the press, that was for Legislator Kelly. Next one is Legislator Beniak. Same resolution, full board sponsorship. Full board's going to sponsor.
We should have identified sponsors and second. You can use it as a full board for approval.
And we better back up to the last one.
Should be a sponsor and a second.
Because we did the same thing. All right, 34. Barbara and Terry for 34. And we'll put the same for 33. Is that all right?
Yep.
You want a what? You hold for your salary here, don't you? All right. Last resolution is a resolution in support of the State Senate Bill S.6417, which would provide for state reimbursement for costs associated with September primary elections, sponsored by Legislator Quackenbush. Needs a second. Legislator Wheeler. Discussion. This was forwarded, just for a little explanation, it was forwarded to us from Senator Kachik. The state has refused to move the primary date to June, which is going to cause for a second primary. What this resolution is asking for is because if they don't send the primary to June, then they would like the state to pay the bill for the extra primary. Legislator Kelly.
Sounds good.
Good?
Yep. Just a question for Attorney. Shouldn't this go through committee?
Ordinarily, it would. The chairman does have the ability to add it to the agenda.
Well, that's what we did with the
and that was done with in the beginning of the meeting by amending the agenda to include all of these.
Thank you.
Yeah, just for clarification, the only reason that I put it up tonight was because there was a sense of urgency, because there's a press conference tomorrow at noon in which they're introducing the legislation, and they asked if we could fast forward, and I said we would do our best. I'll sponsor. Alex. Second. Okay, on this last resolution, is there any further discussion? Can we do full board?
Full board.
Okay. Under other. Wait a minute. Okay. Under other, after our meeting with Senator Schumer, I talked about possibly trying to get the state to come here and help us with our consolidation and shared services effort countywide. Prior to that, Legislator Duchesne had requested that maybe we form an ad hoc committee for similar reasons. We had another discussion this week, good discussion on how we could do it. Governor Cuomo's office actually did contact me. They like the idea of us talking. They want to come and have a visit, primarily a visit to have a game plan of how we may approach the rest of the other 21 municipalities within our county. So they'd like to have an initial meeting that I thought would be good if Matt would, he indicated that he would, and so did Duke. I'd asked Duke if we can form this committee. If I form the ad hoc committee, that he might chair this or offer to chair it. He said that he would. I haven't actually taken that step yet to form it. I really wanted to talk a little more with the county executive because he also has the ability to appoint ad hoc committees, and I don't want to duplicate. I think that we can do this together, and I think there's an agreement that, you know, Legislator Duchesne can certainly chair it, and we may look for others to be on the committee just besides legislators, at which time we then could have the chair of that committee, you know, hold committee meetings and share back with us and get input from the entire legislature. So I just wanted to bring that up, and if you have something you want to, anything else that you want to add that I missed.
No, I appreciate that very much. I think it's an excellent reflection of our conversation. I just would add, this is a very difficult proposition. This whole notion of consolidation, the steps that are necessary to perform certain consolidations are certainly well outlined, and there's a need for a lot of public input, and we have to partner with the